everyone, I'm Tracy Pattin, and this is Sizzlecaster.com, and yes, it's another Skype interview. I am here with Jennifer Strome from Spellbound Development Company across the miles. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Tracy. I'm in Manhattan.
She's right in Manhattan, so, and this is, I'm so excited to be interviewing you about your amazing first. Jennifer is a theatrical producer and just did a live stream staged reading, the first ever, right?
Yes, it's the first ever live streamed reading of a new play, and that it was the first time cameras were allowed into the reading of a new play strictly for that purpose of a webcast.
I'm going to show them right now. I have to show you guys. Here's the card. Here is the event that she did, the play that she did the stage reading for us. The Ideal is fascinating, fascinating. Congratulations on a success. Well, let's talk about the play first, just briefly. What is it? And then we'll get right into how you live streamed it.
The play, The Idealist, is a brand new examination of a historical fact, a story from the 1950s concerning a writer named Meyer Levin, who was, as it turns out, the original dramatist of the Diary of Anne Frank, and his story and his play have been buried for some time. I sort of got hooked on unveiling that some years ago and have turned it into a stage play.
And so I know you've been working on it for so long, and then and explain to everyone that doesn't know about this. I was going to say traditional media, but it's really traditional entertainment, face-to-face entertainment. What is a staged reading?
A staged reading well, first let me go back one step further. A reading is the first step that takes place in the development of a play script, although it does happen in film and television as well. Essentially, a writer has brought a first draft to a place where it needs to be heard for the writer's sake, and director, anyone else working on it. So a group of actors is gathered either around a table, or in this case, we staged it in a performance style. Because we did the webcast, we wanted to increase the dramatic possibilities for the viewer online, because the stage is only one-dimensional, unlike film or television. So by staging it and having the actors move a little bit, even though they had a script in hand, which is typical of a reading, I think we succeeded in creating two dimensions at least, because the actors would move downstage to read their lines, and the audience viewing from the web would have that sense of movement.
This is
and that's why our reading is staged.
Yeah, you are so cutting edge. I mean, this is really exciting stuff, because normally a reading is done just in that, as they call it, meet space. It's such a weird term. But the live interaction, the live experience, and you took it out to the world. So tell us, how did it go? Just give us a brief description of how you were able to do the live streaming. Kind of what did you do?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm still sort of debriefing from it. It happened last Wednesday, and every day I have been able to glean a little bit more from the experience itself, because simply it was such hard work, number one, because besides putting on the reading itself, which you only have very little rehearsal, and it's a hefty play, and so besides putting it on, we had to also stage it for the cameras, and then we had a live audience, and so there were like three aspects of development for any new script happening at the same time. And so it was a real hurdle in that regard. But as far as the live stream success, I find that, having never done it before, and because there is no stat or for this, I'm excited that I got to do it. Yeah. I know what happened and in what time. We were only online for 5 weeks prior. You know, we basically developed an outreach campaign to test, to see what happens when you reach out online only, as opposed to print and radio mixed media venture for campaign, where normally we know something about what's going to happen because we know the return on newspaper prints, television ads, radio ads, but there's no data at all for the return of an online viewer to a theatrical performance.
Okay, so let's kind of set the stage for what was that evening like. So you had people in the audience. How many were in the audience?
I'll tell you, we're still waiting for numbers because it takes several weeks for certain box offices to return information. We have credit cards, we accepted PayPal, we had people walk up, and we had people do online. But I would say there was approximately 300 people there in a 375-seat venue.
And then you had your camera set up in the back for live streaming.
Yeah, we all arrived to the theater at about 5 p.m. for what was going to be a 7:30 opening of the house. We've been rehearsing for the actors for the afternoon since 1 p.m. So to be honest, we didn't have much time, but we had worked out in a studio what we wanted done, where we were going to call cues for live music, sound effects, or lights without having been in the space. So we get into the space at 5. Everyone is in there, including the camera crew, the live stream crew. And so we literally did what's called a paper tech or dry tech, where the stage manager calls the cues through any act of the play, starting at the top, of course. And we try to all just simultaneously make sure we have that cue in our script, because there was nothing that we could do but call everything at once live if it was happening, including the 2 cameras that were picking up the broadcast.
Okay, so you had a whole lot going on, that much more than normally, because you have the live stream. So let's get right, because we're kind of running out of time. Let's get right to the live stream experience and the results of the live stream. So all went well that night technically for the live stream?
Amazingly, and this really has to do with the phenomenal stage manager that I had worked with before, Laura Kravitz. Laura is able to call over 100 cues live without missing a moment. You know, she's just a real pro at what she does.
I'm picturing broadcast news right now, where they call the cues.
Yeah, she's in the booth with what is essentially sound and lights and music. Her daughter, Taylor, sat on stage alongside the live musician, cameras in the audience. Close-up camera 2 for tight shots was down close to the stage, and for wide shots up at the back of the house. Okay, so... And she called...
Go ahead.
No, she called those cues, and they went flawlessly. I think they only missed one cue, a lighting cue, towards the end of a 2-hour play, having never seen it before.
Fantastic. So tell us...
We were very...
So give us some more info on the live stream component. So what were the results? How many people were watching across the globe?
Well, I'll tell you, this is really interesting because there are many variables to the question you're asking. And what I've learned is, and this may mean something to people who know more about the web than I do, or I've just learned, we had in 4.5 weeks, or 5 weeks, which is all that we were online driving our campaign, we had a total of 5 million impressions.
Fantastic.
3,200 clicks on the box office site. I think people spent an average of about 2.5 to 3 minutes on our website exploring the information. And I realized that had we spent more time campaigning online with the exact keywords we had programmed in with, we would have actually probably reached sort of a critical mass stage if we had X number of weeks. Clearly there was strong interest, and amazingly, the website impressions are still growing every day. I look every day and there are more and more, because I understand.
This is such a triumph, Jenny. I'm so impressed and excited for you, which leads me to my next question. What's next? What's your next plan for this project and your live streaming?
Well, this project in particular, yes, it needs a second reading, because I learned from the first ones, just from a theatrical standpoint, I know what I want to change now in my play. So I begin rewriting or revising next week. And so I'd like to do part 2. and stream the reading again,
Okay.
although on a less grand scale, but more of a grassroots working scale
Okay.
from a smaller theater for the purpose of the play's development. I hope after the next reading that we capture, I can hear back from people with the commentary on how the play changed in front of their own eyes from the first reading to the second. And of course, we'll have more time between now and the second to test my theory that with X amount more weeks, we can actually have an exponential amount of people watch us the second time.
Okay, well, fantastic. And that's a great place to end. And I'm so excited to see how this unfolds. I mean, it must be wonderful to be on the cutting edge and to be doing theater and yet doing live streaming at the same time. That's a real feat.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, we have our work cut out for us coming up in part 2, which is how to help the theater goer, which is normally an intimate, personal experience going to a theater, how to help them go online. We had a little bit of an interesting challenge in getting them to connect the dots between the two.
Okay, well, I look forward to interviewing you for the next. When you do the next one, we'll do another interview and hear how that goes, and just watch the growth of this whole online experience for you and the theater and the Idealist. So, Jenny, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Say hi to New York.
I certainly will.
Okay.
It's a sunny day.
Okay. Oh, great.